Excel stores dates in a very clever way. Understanding Excel's date storage system empowers you to use date arithmetic. You can use date arithmetic to compute the difference between two dates in days or to shift date ranges by a given time interval. Dates are stored as simple numbers called date serial numbers. The serial number contains the number of days that have elapsed since the 1st of January 1900, where the 1st of January 1900 is 1. An interesting shortcoming of Excel is its inability to easily work with dates before 1900. Excel simply doesn't acknowledge that there were any dates before this time. If you work with older dates, you'll have to work around this limitation. In Excel, every time's a date and every date's a time. We've already realized that the 5th of January 1900 is stored as the number 5. What would the number 5.5 mean? It would mean midday on the 5th of January 1900. It's possible to format a date to show only the date, only the time, or both a time and a date. When you enter a pure time into a cell, the time is stored as a number less than 1. Excel regards this as having the non-existent date of the 0 of January 1900. When you enter a pure date into a cell, the time is stored as midnight at the beginning of that day. Let's create a blank workbook now and see this in action. So I click the Office button, New, and Blank Workbook. Let's put some numbers into cells A1 to A5. You'll remember from the autofill lesson that if we type the number 1 into A1, autofill down to A5, and then go for the Smart tag at the bottom right-hand corner, we can go for Fill Series to put the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 into the cells. In cell B1, I'm now going to add a formula, equals A1, and press the Enter key on the keyboard. And of course, I'm getting exactly the same number. And when I autofill down, I'm seeing A2, A3, A4, and A5. So whatever's shown in column A will be echoed in column B. In C1, I'm going to do exactly the same thing, equals A1, press the Enter key, and autofill down. This column is going to ultimately hold times. Now I'm going to change the display so that column B displays dates instead of numbers. Remember that the actual value in column B will still be the numbers 1 to 5. I'm simply changing the way that Excel presents it to the user. I select B1 to B5, right-click with the mouse, Format Cells. I look for the Date category and then look for a nice date format. Well, let's look for one that spells the year in full this time, 14th of March 2001. When I click the OK button, you'll see that the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 are actually dates between the 1st and the 5th of January 1900, as explained in the introduction. Well, because dates are also times, let's now look at the time faction of that date in column C. I select C1 to C5, right-click with the mouse, Format Cells, and this time I'll choose the Time category. And I'll choose the simple 24-hour time, 1330 as the example here. When I click OK, you'll see that when column A contains a whole number, the time in column C is always midnight at the beginning of that day. Now let's look at how the fraction in column A actually relates to a time in column C. Let's take A3, currently containing 3, and change that to 3.5. When I press the Enter key on the keyboard, you'll see that that relates to 12 o'clock, midday, on the 3rd of January 1900. Now that you've got the hang of serial numbers, let's use them to actually solve a real-world problem. The real-world problem is you want to know the number of days that occurred between the 1st of January 1900 and the 1st of January 2000. So, in column B7, I'm going to type the 1st of January 1900. And in B8, the 1st of January 2000. To compute the difference in days, I type equals on the keyboard and then click on cell B8. I then press minus on the keyboard and click on B7. When I press the enter key, I can see that there were 36,525 days between the 1st of January 1900 and the 1st of January 2000. We don't need to save this workbook. Let's just click the close button, and when it asks me if I want to save the changes, I'll simply say no. And we're through for this session.